Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of Mentoring Young Leaders in collaboration with the Banis Academy. I am your host, Eliza Naqvi, and today I am honored to have such a guest. She is a lady, a woman with grace who requires no introduction. She is definitely a legend in her profession. And now we are truly honored to have her here, the first female partner of KPMG Pakistan, Ms. Muniza Bhatt. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, Alize. Thank you so much for the kind introduction.
Oh, you deserve every bit of it.
Oh, you're very generous in your compliments. And I'm very happy to be here at the Tabani School. I think you guys are doing a marvelous job of tutoring young CA students.
Thank you so
My
much.
best wishes to the school.
Thank you. We are delighted to have you.
Thank you.
Now, a bit of an icebreaker. What if I was to ask you about a word that would define you right now? All of the events that had happened in your life, events that led you to this point, it could be anything that you value, anything that you practice. Just a word to define you, Miss Muniza.
No, that's a tough one. But what comes to my mind is humility. So I feel, I feel humility is a very important trait that one needs to adopt and practice. So I guess if I see my journey, and I think one word, as you said, that resonates with me is humility. So I think
Wow.
humility is an extremely important trait to
It
possess.
is.
Yeah.
And to be someone like you, to say that, I think it is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you. And well, now I would like to know everything about your life, but we're going to start with your academic journey. How that has been, how did you land on being a CA student? And what was being a student like? If we could go into the flashback and recall a little bit of the memory.
Sure. So, I was a pre-medical student, and I come from a family of doctors.
Really?
And yeah, and my father was a surgeon, all my siblings are doctors, and I, being the youngest, it was thought that I will also take up that profession. But I guess I was very rebellious right from the start. So, although I did my early education in pre-medical, but I knew one thing for sure, that I did not want to become a doctor. And I wanted to do something different. I had no idea what CA is all about, and we had no CAs in our family. I think that is one of the factors which played a great role in my taking up that profession. And after I did my intermediate, I actually flunked the IBA test. I wanted to go and do my MBA from IBA, but somehow I could not get through. And then I was just kept wondering what I can take up after that. And I did not want to give myself a gap year. I just wanted to go on with some career option that I could avail. And at that time, ICAP had come up with a new scheme, which was the basic accountancy course, where they were picking up students right after intermediate and A levels. And I applied for that. I gave the entrance test, and the rest is history then.
It is.
Yeah.
And I feel like, knowing from your journey, being rebellious is actually not a negative trait. Because that is what led you to who you are today,
Yes,
right?
it did.
So,
Much to my mother's dismay, I would say,
Yeah.
because it was her dream that I become a doctor. But then I used to tell her, you have 3 other children who have
Yeah.
already fulfilled your dreams. So
let me live my dreams.
yeah, so that's
Wonderful.
how I got into CA.
Okay, and how are you as a student?
So as a student, because I had always had a pre-medical background, and when I opted for this, which was accounting, finance, economics, and all the works that go along with this profession, I was at a loss. But at the same time, I think this is what kept me on the go, because it was very challenging for me to change my subjects and start everything from afresh. And the rest of the students, most of them, they had come from an accounting background, and I think it was easier for them to understand the concepts and everything, and it was difficult for me at first, and that is why I think it was challenging, and it kept me going. So I think this is one of I think God's way of making me do something.
Yeah,
that-
like you're
that I-
struggling, but yet you're keeping yourself on the go.
yeah.
Wonderful.
So, but it's a good journey. Yes.
Yeah. And then when you got done with your part done with your CA and you started articles. How was that like? Because this is like a complete shift from your academic towards a professional life, a professional career. Were you able to cope up, or what were some of the initial challenges that you
Okay,
faced?
so like when I did my basic accountancy course, which is equivalent to CFAP, now,
Yes.
and I had to apply to firms and all. So I applied to PwC and I got into PwC and I worked over there. I think for like 6 months because we were waiting our result, and also it was like unregistered period. And I must say, like when at that time, because we did not have any mentoring or any guidance or anything, everybody was just trying to figure out their paths themselves. So at that time, I remember I quit PwC and I joined KPMG after 6 months because I felt that, what I had in mind about like, joining a firm. I thought it would be office. I would have my own separate desk, my own, intercom, and I would be like, sitting like in very like, nicely in an office with all the works that go along with it. And it was nothing like that at all. So it was like, a big shock for me because as I said, I did not have any family members who were doing this year. So I was exploring, and, like everything that I was undergoing was like a first for me, without any guidance as such. So then I left that firm and I thought maybe I'll apply to another firm and that might turn out to be better. And very soon I realized that all firms are the same.
Yeah.
It's basically, like the work is similar, and, the environment may be more or less a bit different, but they're basically all the same firms. So then I moved over to KPMG, and this is like in April 1996, I joined
Wow.
KPMG.
You remember?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, a memorable date for me.
Yeah, definitely. All right, fast forward today, but not in the times when your partner KPMG. Before that, what were some of the challenges that you faced being a woman? And I am going to say it's a male dominated industry because females tend to come to this field a little less. And compared to the time when you were doing CA and then when you joined articles, how many women did you come across in your time? And along the way, any mentors that you had while being a student or while working?
So, when I was doing my basic accountancy course, I think in a class of like 75 to 80, where there just four girls. Okay, yes.
Oh
And
my
then when I came
god.
to KPMG, and I think there were, in the whole firm, for audit articleship, there were just like what, maybe three. And I might have been the fourth or the third.
Oh my.
So, yeah, so it has definitely been a male dominated profession. And now I'm so glad things are changing. I think there are more girls coming up now after like what, more than 20 years. But at that time, yes, it was extremely challenging in the sense that, because you don't have many more females over there. So I think even the employers are not used to having, women,
Yes.
and their, basic, I would say, like necessities are not considered, because I remember when I joined KPMG, there was a problem about having separate female washrooms, and like,
Oh
yes,
my
yes,
god.
and even at clients, that used to be an issue. And now naturally things have like, changed, and, we've progressed a lot from
A
there.
lot.
So because now as girls started coming in, into the profession, so these things were looked into, and, and naturally if you have a good employer who's like very empathetic, so they do tend to like, take such feedback and then act upon it as well. So the challenges were immense, like because in like audit teams, and even in boardrooms, you stick out like a sore thumb, because they're all men, and then, and only female. And then also like, the attitude that people have, because somehow, like it is, I would say, like a mindset that they feel, okay, if it's a woman, she would like, not be so good in maths, or she would not be so good at her work, and, she's just there to fill in a space.
Oh my
So to
god.
break that mindset is also very challenging, and like to like have people like, acknowledge your presence, and, and to make a place and a space for yourself. Yes, it was hard.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So did you feel in your journey that you really had to prove yourself to people?
All
Was
the
that?
time. All the time. All the
Oh
time.
my
I think
god.
being a female, so I felt that, and I still do,
Still.
yes, I still do feel that I need to prove myself more than my male counterparts. it is something like which is given, I said. I think it'll take an entire generation for things to change.
Yes.
And I'm very hopeful because I feel that, my generation and the generations before me, they had not seen so many women in working roles, in corporate life
In
and all.
leading roles.
Yes, and but I feel now because the generation that is to follow, like my sons and the generation that is going to come up, they will be more acquainted and more familiar with the concept of having working mothers and seeing women in corporate roles and in leadership roles and working carrying out working jobs and all. So I think it will take a generation to
Yes,
like
yet another.
yeah.
All
But we
right.
are getting there.
We're getting there. Better things to
Yeah,
come.
yeah.
All right. Since you mentioned different roles as well, I want to shed light upon that part of your journey as well. You had a lot of roles attached to you, being a woman, being a working woman, and being a mother. So how did you cope up with all of those roles? Because I feel like in the time and generation we're at right now, somehow women are now expected to have a career. They're required to have a career at some point. The people want women to be professional, and even if the woman wills otherwise. But in your time, there was no expectation, there was no requirement. So how did you feel that you had to cope up with different roles and excel in them individually?
Okay, so at my time, naturally, there was no expectation, as you're saying, because the expectation was for women to sit at home and rear a family and be like full-time mothers,
Yeah.
and but I think it basically depends on each person themselves as well. Okay, so I had always wanted to be doing something in my life. Like I know that women have to get married, they have to have a family. They have to have play the other roles that they have to,
Yeah.
like a daughter, a sister, a mother, a wife, a sister.
Everything.
These are all roles that they have to, like live their time and do share too. But at the same time, I knew that for my own, I would say, my own well-being, I wanted to do something very constructive, for myself. And I think the key to it is to have a supportive family. And where there is not a supportive family, I think you need to build allies. That's very important, that you have some people, that that are understanding your point of view in the family, in the larger family as well. And then you work upon them and try to build allies so that, your case of, getting to like work after marriage, before marriage, after kids is like, it's easier for you to fight those battles and the struggle becomes easier. So it's very important that, that you have a supportive family. And if you do not have a supportive family, you build allies in your family, in your friend circle, who can then also, like, have similar views as you and fight your cause as well. So yes, it is challenging because then, but that's the fun of it then, if things are not challenging and everything is smooth sailing, then what's the fun in it? So I think the most challenging part in my career, I think, came not after my marriage but after I became a mother.
Okay.
When I gave birth to my firstborn, I think that was the time where I was very vulnerable. And when I look back, I see, I think usually it is a very vulnerable time for women, once they become mothers, especially for the first time, they feel that, oh, the world has come crashing down and they cannot, like, do anything else apart from look after their baby. And, and the baby requires them 24/7, and, they would not trust their baby with anybody else. And, but, my advice to such, women would be that it's not humanly possible for any woman to be 24/7 with her baby. Like you need to have that break, because it's you need to have people who are supportive, who will, like, help you with rearing your family, and then you also continuing your your own dreams, your own aspirations that you have. So I think that one of that time, when I gave birth to my son the first time, so I was very vulnerable, and that was the time I thought that I would quit.
Really?
Yes, I was about to quit. And, after I came back from my maternity leave, and also the maternity leave, we didn't have any in my firm. And, it was when I came to that stage where, my firm realized,
my
okay, they need to have
God.
something like that in the leave policy.
So
And,
you
like, yeah.
established it?
Yes, so so they understood, but they were very, very, I would say, proactive in whatever my needs would be. So it was never that I had, like, asked for something and they had not responded. They were always, they were trying to grow with me. and also trying to understand, and we were being very empathetic. So when I came back from my maternity leave, I remember I thought that it's a busy season because we have seasonal work, July and December. And I thought, okay, it's a busy season and they've given me maternity leave. I can't be so cruel that I just leave in the middle of everything. So I thought I'll finish the season and then I'm going to quit. But that was the time, I think, when they realized my potential, and because they were not expecting me to come back either. So I think it ran both ways, because at that time they realized my potential and I was offered partnership. And once that was put into my lap, was the time that I just sat thinking, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? Because this is an offer which is too difficult to refuse, and it's like making history. And but as I said, my firm has been very supportive in that journey of mine. And when they want, because in my firm you don't become a partner just like that. You are sent to an assessment center, then you have a panel interview, you have other KPMG global partners interviewing you, and it's like a whole assessment that is done globally. So I asked my senior partner Masood Ali Naqvi for a relax. He wanted to send me before, and I tried to extend the date. So I think I extended it by 1.5 years. Till he told me, Munisa, you just have to go now, and he gave me the confidence to he said, he sat me down and said, why are you not going for the assessment? And and I now when I look back, I was like, how could I say that? I used to tell him, I don't think I'm good enough. And he would look at me and he was like, you don't think you're good enough? And here we are, who have assessed you, and we think that you have the potential in you, And then it would also set me thinking that my male colleagues, they were instead of them, I was offered that, that post to be at. And so I said, okay, but I thought it was a case of one not being able to come up to their expectations themselves. So I think this is also something, a trait that women usually have, that they are they don't have the self-confidence initially. Maybe others would find them very confident, they may come across as that, but self-confidence for themselves to believe in themselves is a little difficult. So I would give credit to my firm that they were supportive, and they let me have my time period to absorb the role that I was going to step into, and then then it went ahead from there.
And how many years ago is this?
So I became a partner in July 2008, 1st July 2008.
Okay, wonderful.
I qualified in the year 2000 and I became a partner in 2008.
Wonderful. And do you feel like after becoming a partner, as you mentioned earlier, that the self-doubt element is very much inbuilt into the woman? I don't know why.
Yes.
It could be the way we are raised, it could be our environment. A lot of aspects come to it. So do you think that after becoming a partner, your vision sort of changed, the way you looked at things changed, and the way you yourself performed better started to analyze?
Yeah, so you see, each role has its different set of responsibilities. So when you are working as a trainee, you have different responsibilities. When you're working as a manager, they're different. Then as a partner, all the responsibilities yours, because your name comes on the audit report. So basically, it's all your name that goes into it. So yes, the responsibilities are very different. And I think initially everybody requires a certain amount of time to set into that role, and then look ahead. So yes, initially for the first few years, when I became a partner, I was totally engrossed in what I was doing. It was difficult for me to delegate tasks, because I was it is my, I would try to do as much as I could do myself. But that is also not possible, you see, because you need to delegate tasks. That's how your team is built, and how they will also understand how to do how to manage clients and all. So yes, initially in the first few years, I would say I was very, very hands-on. I would have fear of delegating work to people and all. But then slowly and gradually, I think you start getting that confidence, and it goes ahead from there. Then.
All right, wonderful. And compared to you in 2008 to now, fast forward 2024, what are the major differences that you see in yourself?
Okay, so I feel that I have become more confident. in my role,
Okay.
and I think I have become, I would say, like more friendly as a person. I would, initially I was like just in my own cocoon and doing my
Okay.
own stuff and all, but I think like I have expanded my network and become more of a person who likes to like move around, like build networks, and so this is something, I think, a change that I have seen in myself.
Wonderful. Okay, do you feel like that this change emerged because you opened up yourself, or because there is this expectation of women to not delegate, like you mentioned earlier, right? So was it because you openly, wholeheartedly accepted the role you were given, and then you were able to, kind of let yourself free?
Yes, so like I think in any new role that you come into, so you take initial a few years, to just get to like the nitty gritty of the stuff, and like
Yeah.
get to like know about what is expected of you and what your job description is, how you're going to carry it out. And after that, I believe that you get set in like what you're doing, and then that also gives you the confidence and the time, basically, to like. Go ahead and do other stuff that you like, I think must be like thinking that you can do, because
Yeah.
initially when I was working, I did not think about giving back to the community and or doing
Okay.
something for the institute or anything, because I was so busy carving my own path. I was so busy in building my own career and managing my own life, because at the same time when you are like getting a career progression, so at the same time your family is also growing, and your
Yeah.
kids are growing, and it's a very challenging sort of a situation that a woman can be in. So at that time, like helping the institute or helping other accounting professionals, especially females, was not that much on my plate, as managing my own like self. I think after I became like more set and comfortable in my new role is the time, like when I thought about, yes, now I have to give back to the community that I come from, and
Yeah.
like from the fraternity, and like I have to do things for other people to make their path easier. This is something that then I started reflecting upon.
And that is commendable, definitely. Okay, so what does Miss Muniza Bhatt do to release stress? Because I'm
Shopping.
sure, oh, I'm sure you might have a lot of stress aspect into your life.
So like yeah. So like I like to go out to shop, and like I like to meet people. I feel I'm
Okay.
a people's person, and I have friends of all ages. And like it's very nice for me to meet people. I think I relax by meeting people, and getting to know more people, and just like going out with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
You seem like a very pleasant person.
Thank you.
All right, so we have seen you in various different roles, right? We see you being in the Southern Region Committee as well. We see you in Women's Committee as well. So, not to be too personal, but do we expect to see you running to be a council member as well in the near future?
Inshallah, let's see. You cannot say about the future, but in my view, whenever I have taken any role, so I have studied it like thoroughly.
Okay.
So before I stepped into the SRC, I was involved with the institute, in different committees for quite a few years, to get to understand, how the institute runs and what are the activities, and what is basically being like done behind closed doors of ICAP and all.
Yeah.
So after that, I thought like, yes, I have the confidence, and then I can like now stand for elections, because it's like a complete independent election that we have to like
Yeah.
go through. And then I came into the Southern Regional Committee, although at that time, 4 years back also, people were saying you should stand for the council, and I thought, no, I
Really?
would like rather do it on a smaller scale and see what it is all about, and then move ahead. So yes, it's been a good experience being with the SRC, and next step would be council, inshallah.
Okay,
All goes well.
inshallah. Wow, okay. A little about the new inductions, right? So you have been in the firm for quite a long period and doing excellent, of course. So, what do you expect are some of the aspects where people who've just qualified, be it CAs or ACCAs, what are a few skill set or a few qualities that they lack coming into the firm, and be it their extracurriculars, be it their soft skills, some of the aspects that you think that students can work on a little more to excel in interviews and to excel in their inductions?
Okay, so like over the years, we've conducted so many interviews. Like now it's like as soon as a person walks inside the room and sits on the chair in front of you, you know whether you're going to hire them or not. Yeah, so
What?
yes, it's like it comes with experience, and before they can even utter a word, and then once they start like speaking, it's like you've already made your decision almost. It's like that because very important is how you conduct yourself, and I feel like nowadays maybe the Gen Z that they talk about, I
Yeah.
think they have become very informal. Yeah, they are very confident from what we were in our times, but at the same time I feel that they've become very informal in their approach. They
Okay.
would not be attired properly. Like if you're going for an interview, you have to be in a proper attire. I'm not talking about being extremely formal and coming in a three-piece suit, like, with the waistcoat and everything and all the works, but you have to be neatly attired, properly groomed. Your hair has to be in its place, like proper, a normal, nice, neat, clean. Because when we are hiring people like that for induction, they are going to be ambassadors of a firm. So
Yes.
if somebody does not look the part, okay, so it becomes very difficult for you to envisage how they would be in the role that you're hiring for. So yeah, personal grooming, presentation skills and all are extremely important. And I also feel that one of the traits which is lacking in the people who are coming for induction nowadays
Yeah.
is lack of reading. you know
Okay.
Somehow I feel like, because reading is such an important trait. I think it's such an important thing that one has to do, because it opens up your mind, it opens up your creativity. So like, when we ask them whether they read or if they're fond of reading and all, the most of the answers that we get are no, they're not fond of reading. And it's not something that you can lie about, because when you talk about, like, so you immediately get to, because it's a flowing conversation that you're having during the interview.
Yeah.
So you get to know whether that person is fibbing or whether he's like actual reader. And and it's like it comes across very soon whether you're just saying, answering a question for the sake of it or no. So but I would generally tell people, advise them that they must read, read books, because it is so important that once you start reading, it's when your vocabulary opens up, it's when your creativity opens up, it's like very knowledgeable. And then
Yeah.
and we have such good authors, our own Pakistani authors are so good. It'll keep you in touch with, like, what the whole literature aspect,
Yeah.
of life is. So, and apart from that, extracurricular are also extremely important. You may have good grades, yes, that's fine, but you're looking for like well-rounded people, well-rounded personalities.
Yes.
It's not just bookworms or just like people who are just very good academically. Yeah, academics does matter, it's very
Yes.
important. Your whole track record matters, how well you have done, performed in your, throughout your academic life, that is also important. But at the same time, you need to have some extracurricular activity to show that you are not just a one track person. You
Yeah.
need to have some form of like, a colorful CV, I would say. Yeah, that you've done something, some community
Yeah.
work, some extracurricular. That is also extremely important.
Okay, very nicely answered and very in detail, I would say. So, speaking of extracurriculars, we have seen you quite very active on social media at separate events, and you were seen being the speaker of some events as well. So, do you think that this is something that you like to do, that you like to interact and you like to be social, or is it just a part attached to the role that you are in right now?
Okay, so I think it works both ways actually. I
Okay.
think my role also demands this from me, and then I also like to do it. Like over the years, it's been like, it's something that has come naturally to me. It's something that I
Okay.
thought, I never knew I was like, I'm going to be such a people's person. But yes, over time, how you'd start discovering yourself also
Yeah.
and your like latent talents. So yes, I realized over time that this is something that I really like to, like, I like to speak, I like to, like, mix with people and get to know them better. And as well as the role also, because it helps in marketing, and it
Yeah.
helps in, like, making a network and all. So yeah, works both ways.
Okay, moving forward, I would like to ask you of a moment where you felt that you made it in life. The little girl who started her CA with dreams in her eyes and aspirations to be somewhere in the world. When was that particular moment where you felt like I have made it? I have made myself and my parents proud, and this is it.
Okay, so that I think would be when I won the CA Women of the Year award. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So, because I have been coming to the institute, I was the third batch from basic accountancy course, and at that time we did not have any REITs, so we used to study in the institute, in the building. We used to have our classes, and coming to the institute as a student, struggling with these subjects, because I came from pre-medical background, and I used to like I was not sure about my future at that time to the time that I won the CA Woman of the Year award. So I thought that was like, a moment which I really treasure in my memory. Yes. So
Wow. And how many years was this ago?
so this was in 2015. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, this all has been related to work, related to academics, and related to your professional life. Now, what about you as a person? If you could eliminate, timely eliminate, not like that. If you could sort of set aside the role that you are in right now, even though you enjoy it fully, if you could separate it for a while and describe you as a person, what would that be? Or if you're not able to describe yourself apart from that role, because that also makes you whole, right? So what would that be?
Okay, so I feel, I'm a very empathetic person. I feel like, I have always had this, I don't know, quality or characteristic where, I want to like propagate the rights of people who are like, undermined, or like, who are not being given their due share. So this is something I think which has always remained with me. Like, like I have a deep sense of justice in me, and I feel if there's any injustice anywhere, I need to speak up. So I feel this is something, whether I am, what I am today or not, this is something which I feel is very deeply rooted in me. That sense of justice and giving back to people, the community. When you're able to, and when you're in that position, I think it's incumbent on you to give back, to like so that other people like can also come up, and make the path easier for them actually. So I think these I think are some qualities or traits or like characteristics that I feel I would have whether I am in this role or not. Yeah.
I feel like the word legend really suits you because
Oh,
you are
yes.
up there. You have made it. You went through your fair share of struggles, and now it's not it's not your responsibility to make it easy for other people, but you do it out of the heart that you have. And that is wonderful.
Thank you.
And while we go towards the end of this session, which I really don't want to because this is a lovely conversation, we can just keep going on and on. But I would lastly like to request you, or just to advise all the women out there. It doesn't matter if they are in the professional field, it doesn't matter if they're in their academics right now, at any stage they're at. One advice that you would like to give everybody, all the women out there.
Okay, I think I did cover it in in my talk just now, and I think self belief is very important. I think they should believe in themselves. They if they put their mind and heart to it, there's nothing that they cannot achieve. I feel that women are very self doubting, and they do not think they are good enough. They feel that maybe they'll not be able to do it, but believe you me, they can achieve anything if they put their heart and mind to it. I've seen women, they put like they feel that they have a family to look after, kids, husband, in-laws, but frankly I would say these are excuses, because if you put like your heart and mind to something, you will find a way. Where as they say, where there's a will, there is a way. I say where there's a will, there are ways. You can find other ways anyway, but you will get what you want. So I think self belief is very important, and not to quit, just keep going.
Yeah,
Do
and
not
that is
quit.
very personalized because you were about to. And
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We are truly honored and humbled to have you here today with us, even though the weather was very unfortunate, but you were able to make it. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, guys, that is all for today. I will catch you guys in the next episode. Till then, stay tuned.